Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
Hey, what's happening, you guys? I'm John.
And I'm Kevin.
And this is The 6 Degrees of Schwarzenegger, the podcast where we take a long, hard look at some of our favorite action movies from the era of Arnold.
Schwarzenegger is the icon of the genre, and we're taking a deep dive into some of our favorite 80s and 90s cult action movies and breaking them all the way down.
All the way down. So, Kevin, how are you feeling about Robocop?
I'm loving it. I'm sad that we're near the end.
I know. I'm very sad. I think that we should prolong the agony as long as possible and hit people with some weird trivia that they might love to know.
Let's
starters,
test our might.
So we test your might. So for starters, we know that this movie was made for between 11 and 15 million.
Correct.
Which was chump change. Which, I mean, is a fortune compared to what Bloodsport was made for. But still, nothing in Hollywood money, but grossed $53.4 million.
Right. So as the story goes, this Orion Pictures studio that was behind Robocop, they founded themselves as we're going to be a prestige studio. We're making award-winning type films here. And then their films, I guess, weren't doing that well. So they greenlit James Cameron to do The Terminator, which was done on the cheap, made a ton of money, very well received. I don't think it won any awards, though. Looking back at it, I don't know what won Best Picture in '84, but I bet you The Terminator is a better movie.
Oh, man.
Than whatever won Best Picture. It's probably like Gandhi or something.
Yeah.
You Google that up. In the meantime, but Terminator came out, big box office hit, huge return on a meager investment on the film. And I think the success of Terminator basically led them to greenlight Robocop right away, thinking there's money to be made on these sort of B-movie, low-budget sci-fi flicks.
I'm a believer. It would have had to have beat out Terms of Endearment.
Yes. Terminator and Terms of Endearment. I'll take Terminator any day of the week.
Terminator of Endearment would be a movie that I would watch.
They missed the crossover potential.
I think there's still time. James Cameron, Jack Nicholson still alive.
Yeah.
We can get this going.
I think an early tagline for this movie that was not actually used, thank God, was going to be of Robocop. He's like Dirty Harry with ball bearings. That's terrible. No, Is that the reason they dropped it was because they thought they might get sued by Warner Brothers who done the Dirty Harry movies?
That's the only reason? I can think of a dozen other reasons. I think that if they weren't going for this movie seeming like a B movie, that's not the line you go with.
If that had made it into the marketing for this film, I could see that having directly tanked the movie. It would make me not want to see it.
I would also not be surprised if that would be a line that they would use just to get the asses in the theater, just to be like, we need butts in seats, so we'll use something catchy to get them in. But thank God that they didn't, because that would have cheapened the whole thing.
Yeah, this movie stands on its own. It doesn't need to ride the coattails of another franchise.
Also worth mentioning that this won an Oscar.
Yes. So Orion, the prestige studio, they actually did produce an Academy Award-winning film with Robocop. It won for sound effects editing.
And was nominated for 3 total?
3 nominations for this movie.
And you guys can tweet us and let us know what the other 2 were. We don't have time for that.
But I will say, if you think about the work that the sound effects editors on this had to do, every Robocop movement, I feel like had a noise, like a hydraulic noise.
Absolutely.
Every footstep.
Gunshots.
Like
all the ED-209 stuff.
Yeah, it's rad. It was totally good. Well earned Oscar for RoboCop.
Plus all the cocaine snorting through everyone's personal cocaine device that they carry around that we're going to see about. Also, a bit of trivia. We can just go through and list some of the biggest box office successes of that year.
Okay, lay it on me.
Number 1, 3 Men and a Baby.
Hell yes,
so good. Fatal Attraction. These are in order, by the way, according to IMDb as of this date, which is, what date is it?
I don't know.
Who cares? These are all on IMDb, by the way. Beverly Hills Cop 2, Good Morning Vietnam, Moonstruck, The Untouchables, badass. These are all really good movies.
Untouchables, great.
The Secret of My Success, which if you're not familiar with that one, it's a gem. Michael J. Fox. Stakeout, Lethal Weapon, and rounding out the top 10, which is of Eastwick. Honorable mention at number 11, Predator.
Oh, hell yes.
And then that's where we'll stop for that. So
all right.
That's a pretty great year for movies.
The 80s were tight.
Super, super impressive.
80s movies were tight, man. There was so much good stuff coming out.
Yeah.
Stakeout. If you haven't seen Stakeout, watch Stakeout. Hilarious.
I haven't seen it since I was a kid.
Yeah, I love
that's
Stakeout.
One that I should revisit.
Anyway, there is a movie to be discussed here, I suppose.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we have to get through the
final act here. It opens with another newscast.
That's
from
right.
Lisa Gibbons and the dude who does it alongside her or whatever.
Casey, I can't remember his last name.
Wong.
Casey Wong, yeah.
It opens with a car commercial for that 6,000 SUX. Advertising was at 8.2 miles a gallon?
8.2 miles a gallon.
Nice. Nice. It was like the return of an American classic or something like that. Yeah.
That's America.
And just more satirizing of what America was in that time.
Yeah, we have massive wildfires throughout the world, but mostly in California because of a laser malfunction in space.
Did it say it killed 2 ex-presidents?
And killed 2 ex-presidents living in California.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that the police strike is on the horizon.
Yep. So the police strike that's been being set up from Act 1 is finally coming to fruition. There's like a huge cleanup effort going on at the OCP headquarters after that big showdown between RoboCop and Ed 209.
Right.
And Boddicker just comes strolling in, his face all cut up, but like as swaggerful as you like the most notorious criminal in the city is just wandering through like he owns the place.
Yeah. No longer, it doesn't even matter that he's on the news all the time. He can just come right in through the front door, but not before he hits on, shamelessly hits on the secretary.
The secretary, yeah. God, oh my God. He says like, I'm busy right now, but later on, maybe you can fit me in. God. That's his wife.
That's his
that actress.
Yeah, that was Kurtwood's wife in real life at the time, and he is just disgusting.
Oh my God, I don't even want to know what their home life is like.
And apparently, like improv'd a lot of this shit in this scene.
Yeah, supposedly he almost most of what he did was improvisation or the little.
It's so short, but it's fucking brilliant. Like where he takes his gum out and puts it on her nameplate. You can keep the gum. Like, gross.
Dude, your Boddicker impression's on point. I gotta say, it's awesome.
So Clarence goes in to meet with Jones, rolling up in Dickie Boy's office, and Jones immediately tells Boddicker that it's up to him to clean up the RoboCop mess. Is Clarence snorting coke through this whole scene? Is that what that little thing is that he keeps snorting out of?
Yeah, I think I've seen other characters had the similar thing. Yeah, I think they're doing drugs from this thing. But basically, Dick Jones he's telling Boddicker, "Oh, you've been talking too much. You're being stupid. Like RoboCop records everything, don't you know?" And I'm thinking, dude, motherfucker, Dick Jones, you just last night when you were getting roughed up by RoboCop, you were telling him everything about how you killed Bob Morton. Everything.
Short memory on Dick, but I love Clarence leaning across the desk. Take a look at my face, Dick.
I think Dick Jones must be one of these like do as I say, not as I do type
100%.
of leaders.
Oh, totally, totally. He's a jackass.
Yeah, he's what he's telling him.
Yeah,
dude,
so
you got to kill RoboCop for me.
Yeah, he scolds him for blabbing to RoboCop, and that RoboCop's memory is submissible as evidence. And then the real rub to Clarence, and rightfully so, is that this problem somehow belongs to him. And I agree. Fucking let Dick handle it.
Right, because I think he's telling him like, dude, RoboCop, that's OCP property. Like he's your problem. You deal with him.
Yeah,
I got drugs to sell.
Yeah, I don't have time for this bullshit. I.e., much drugs, gotta go. But then Jones drops a tantalizing carrot and tells him that for the price of killing RoboCop, that he will let Boddicker and his gang run all the gambling, drugs, and prostitution for the new Delta City construction crew.
It's going to be like, what, 2 million people? 1 million people?
An inexplicable 2 million people.
That's like the population of the city, basically, Jesus. One would think. But also, I like that this whole thing hinges on the fact that every worker is a fucking degenerate.
Yeah, all of them do drugs.
They're all addicts and like womanizers.
Yeah, it's a whole city of workers.
Whoremongers
that all have severe hangups.
That's where Dick Jones tells him, with the right connections, one man could control it all, Clarence.
Well, I guess we're going to be friends after all, Richard.
Dude, the fact that he calls him Richard after all the shit that's been happening, that makes me laugh so hard. I don't even know. Was that in the script?
I don't know.
Richard.
Richard. I hope it wasn't. I hope that they both like ad-libbed that whole part.
I have this feeling that Kurtwood Smith was fucking in the zone and every take he did was perfect.
I tend to agree. I
think he was Boddicker.
Just walking around doing coke and killing people indiscriminately.
Dipping his fingers in people's wine.
Oh my God. Yeah. You were talking earlier about how these are definitely a couple of guys, Dick and Clarence, who just revel in being evil.
Dude, those are my favorite bad guys, is when they are enjoying how evil they are.
Just chewing the scenery.
Absolutely. Like, it's one thing when you can sort of feel like, okay, this guy sees himself as the good guy. There's no way either of these guys think they're good guys.
No. It's more fun to play a bad guy. It really is, I think.
It's gotta be fun for the actors.
Definitely.
Yeah. So then Jones hands over the tracker, right?
Yep. Jones gives Boddicker his RoboCop tracker, and I think Boddicker asked, "Do you got any heavy like military weapons?"
Yeah, we're gonna need something besides just a regular gun.
Right. They've run into RoboCop before with guns, and it has not gone well for them.
Right.
And Dickie is like basically, buddy, we are the military.
Yeah. No problem.
Which is also like, that's kind of this, they're Halliburton or something, right?
America, you and me, ain't that America?
But then we cut to Lewis has got the damaged RoboCop back at that abandoned steel mill from Act 1, right?
That's right.
Think it's the same one.
We're back at the same one. We're on familiar territory.
It's weird you would take them to a bad guy hangout.
You got to hide in plain sight.
I guess
the closer we are to danger, the further we are from harm.
But she's gone back to the police station and gathered up, I guess, another RoboCop gun.
That's right. And I picked up your spare
gun. What else? Some food, which is basically Gerber's.
Yes, I got you some baby food. No, thank you.
And some tools.
And a drill.
Yep.
And we wondered why the hell didn't anyone see her, but immediately she explains for us.
Yeah, good for her. She says, that what half the department's already on strike and the other half goes on strike at midnight.
Yeah, half the department's on strike. Everyone else is like, we don't want to get killed.
I guess once their shift ends, then they go on strike or something like that. So RoboCop takes the drill that she brought and he begins to like extract these very long screws.
3 or 4 inches at least from his head.
Yeah. I mean, his brain was wrecked though when he was shot. So there's probably not a whole lot of Murphy brain left in that head.
And that makes me wonder if it's a cybernetic organism, is there living tissue, or does that mean that it's all, there's got to be some level?
Yeah, I think there's still blood pumping through the body and all that.
Do you think that any of that brain is?
Yeah, I think there's some brain, like his brain stem or whatever, like his reptilian brain.
Because they still need the circuitry to work to tell the body what to do.
I think there's circuitry that's plugged into his brain.
Also, if he's having memories, clearly there's
got to be some part of him that's still in there, right?
So yeah, then he takes it off, and we have a very like a Darth Vader type moment.
Right. I always found like his helmet off look a little off-putting. It's just like funky looking. He looked cooler with the mask on.
Well, it's like Darth Vader.
It is, yeah. He says, I think when he takes off, he says, "You may not like what you're going to see,"
right?
Which really builds the reveal. But then I almost found it at the same time disappointing.
The filmmakers talked about how they made the decision that instead of him just being a complete robot and having a robot, face, that they would have taken Murphy's face and put it on the robot.
They sort of stretched it over where the machinery started. Yeah.
And they did that because on the off chance that it did become sentient and then it did start having human thoughts again, what would it be? It would be even more terrifying for that whoever that
to look in a mirror
and see nothing, but to see a face, at least it could still have that connection, that human connection, and know that an identity is there.
I will say though, it's good for Peter Weller, the actor, to finally get his face on screen again, because he's unrecognizable when he's got the helmet on.
Right. Yeah,
he's earned it. Like, he gives a killer performance in this, so it's good to get to see his face again.
Yeah, you're right. It's off-putting because it looks so unnatural, but I think that's probably a success.
Right, you pointed out there are no eyebrows, which I hadn't noticed.
Completely shaven, and I think that's one of the reasons why it also
he doesn't look quite human or right.
And also, to be completely honest, the face is small for the size of the head, and that's another reason why it's just not proportional. But that's a conceit of the fact that they've put a human
prosthetics over the top of a real human skull.
Exactly. So everything's not proportional, but I think that it sort of works because, I mean, it's the same thing with Darth Vader. Mm-hmm. He takes out the helmet. It's like, Jesus Christ.
This guy is gone. Like, you feel bad for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you see him.
It's like, what have they done to you?
Now, I personally felt sad when Robocop, he looks in the mirror that she holds up, and he's like, he seems sad to see what's become of him. I felt for the guy.
Absolutely.
And what he's lost, I mean, is his family.
Everything. He's literally lost his life. He asks what happened to his family. Mm-hmm. Robocop asks what happened. Murphy asks what happened to his family. And Lewis says they blew town after you died, dude.
After the funeral, they left. Yeah. Couldn't stand to be around anymore, which I would understand that from her.
Yeah, that your wife needed to start over again.
Which, so he's lost everything. And then he's got this really sad line about that he can't remember them, but he can feel them, or he can't feel them, but he can remember them.
Yeah, I can't remember them, but I can feel them.
That's got to be awful.
That's heart-wrenching. And great writing, too, because I would imagine that's probably what it would be like in this. I mean, who's to say? But yeah. But
it's like, I know I had a life before this that was really good, but I can't really remember
you hear about
it.
People with dementia being looking at someone and they're like, I know you, but I just don't remember who you are.
Yeah, it's like, so that's got to be the emotional core of the movie.
Oh, and then rightfully asks Lewis, can you leave me the fuck alone?
Yeah, she wants to come and help him, and he's just like, I just want some space.
I'm gonna eat this baby food now.
I think she tries to feed him, and he's like, I'm not hungry.
Go Robo.
So old Detroit with the police on strike is just chaos.
It's a shit show.
It's full on riot scenes, stores are burning and looters are running the streets. All of Boddicker's goons, Joe, Emil.
We see Emil chilling on the sidewalk with just taking plugs from a Jack bottle.
And he's watching Bixby Snyder.
And he can't hear Bixby Snyder through the glass because he watched it on the TV in a electronics store. So he
takes the world's longest crowbar.
He throws it through the window just to turn up some volume so you can hear the fucking TV, man.
He's laughing his ass off at that. I'd buy that for $1.
I'd buy that for $1. Loving it.
And then we got Leon shows up.
Yeah, apparently
Joe shows up.
And then this we decided was because the arresting officer couldn't show up to court. They let those guys out.
I don't know why. I think it was Dick Jones pulling strings. Got specifically those guys released. Yeah, I don't think it was just every criminal released.
So, but I mean, what would you say? Well, you just had the case.
I feel like Boddicker said, "Hey," Boddicker said, "I need my guys released to take RoboCop out, and Dick Jones.
So you don't think that there's
considered done?
Like there was no the judge was just like let him out.
I don't think that I think the legal system was circumvented.
It's broken. Those guys just vanished from the jail.
Yes, these are the worst criminals they probably had in there, right?
Yeah, so that makes sense then. So yeah, everybody's out. Everybody knew to convene at the electronics store. Thank God.
And Joe, this guy Joe has just got like a permanent case of the giggles. Like everything is hilarious to him.
Is he also coked out though? Because that would
probably.
make sense. Yeah, they're all coked out.
But what do we got? Then Boddicker shows up, right? He's got the 6000 SUX.
Everyone's rolling in an SUX. Leon rolls up in an SUX too.
Yeah, somebody did.
Yeah,
Joe did?
I think
they all did?
No, I think Leon and Clarence did, and that's why Clarence blew up Leon's because they couldn't.
I thought it was Joe's, but it was like, hey, look, Clarence, he's got a car just like yours.
Yeah,
and then he blows it up.
He's like, he blows it up with
this gun is what they call
assault cannon.
It's an assault cannon, which was a modified like 50 caliber sniper rifle.
Did he let them know that they were going on a robo hunt at this point?
They didn't know that yet, I don't think.
So he's just handing out guns and saying, "Go play."
He's got the dudes are having so much fun with the guns.
I like it.
That's Emil. I like it. And then Joe's like, a new toy. It's so good.
But everyone in that moment is excellent at shooting cars at close range.
Oh yeah.
And you said that somebody was injured in this scene, right?
They said when they blew out the storefront and like the glass flew out that it cut Leon's face.
Okay.
Yeah, and he they said he got some extra money, like stuntman pay for the day since he got injured or whatever. Yeah, that's so awesome. Score. I swear, this area that's getting blown up looks so much like a backlot, like Hill Valley, square. But apparently, it was a real block in Dallas that the city, like that the buildings were mostly shut, like condemned or vacant, and they let them just blow it up.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
you guys have fun. That's fine.
Totally.
Go crazy.
Now, he tells him, like, we got to go find RoboCop and take him out. And he's got his robo-tracker.
Everyone's feeling pretty good with their cannons.
Yeah, we were feeling good.
This is going to be much, much better. Thank you.
Meanwhile, back at the mill, RoboCop is like, he gives Lewis a rude. Back
at the mill,
he gives Lewis a rude awakening. Like she's taking a little nap, and all of a sudden it's his. She like snaps awake. Something's wrong with his targeting system. Like he can't hit his target anymore, right?
ED-209 really did a number.
Yeah, I mean, in getting shot up by the police, I guess.
Yeah, so I guess recalibrating his targeting is just as simple as, let me just point this gun for you.
Well, they're like, it was basically like you lock your sights on
and I'll move your
target, and she aimed the gun manually for him, and she was pretty spot on.
Oh yeah.
Like first shot, it just nuked that can of baby food.
Exploding baby faces, baby food everywhere.
Yeah. So then,
no time to celebrate though.
Exactly, like not a moment too soon, as it turns out, because Boddicker and company arrives.
God, he got that shit figured out.
Yeah, that would not have gone well for them if he couldn't hit a target. So they're like walking around, calling out RoboCop. They all have their assault cannons, and
they're sort of moving through. It's like this united front moving through. Emil's driving the van.
Emil's got the van. Yeah.
They're moving through like it's, I don't know, like military tactic.
Yeah, they're sweeping
they can't be flanked almost. But then RoboCop gets the jump.
Yeah, he's up on a balcony or whatever, and he calls out, which is kind of bad tactics on his part. He's like, looking for me, and
stupid,
and blows Joe away.
Yep, by Joe. Joe immediately dies. And it's worth mentioning here
Rest in peace, Joe.
R.I.P. All of the great marksmanship that we were just seeing on the parked cars in downtown Old Detroit is suddenly just got
against it's like anything more than 20 feet away.
Adrenaline's kicked in, and those assault cannons mean jack shit because no one can hit anything.
They're trying, and as slow as RoboCop is moving, they can't hit him.
They can't hit literally the slowest person. Like ED-209 can outrun RoboCop.
Easily.
So everyone's having a hard time hitting RoboCop.
RoboCop really shouldn't be toying with them, I don't think.
Also, no one knows how RoboCop got down the stairs so fast, but now he's at ground level.
Mm-hmm. He steps out. I think, what is it? Emil's driving around in the van.
Emil's driving in the van, and he's like, I've spotted him.
He sees Robocop.
I'm going to take him out.
He's like, I got you now.
He drives through a very clearly marked giant Axis Chemical vat of toxic waste.
Generic toxic waste.
Just generic stuff. Just generic. It's the home blend.
Robocop is able to swiftly step aside.
Yeah, he steps out, and I love that there's so much that the toxic waste comes pouring through the truck. The doors of the van open up and it acts like a funnel, and everything just comes sweeping.
And it's extra chunky.
Oh man, it looks like when Emil gets up, he is covered in it looks like vomit chunks. When he gets up. But kudos to the makeup guys that did this shit, because this for me as a kid was one of the most memorable and terrifying moments of the entire movie.
Toxic Waste Man.
He gets up looking like Sloth from Goonies and making that.
Dude, and when he's his fingers are dripping, his
gross.
fingers are his skin is sort of dripping off his bones.
Oh my god,
it's terrible!
It's incredible.
He runs into his buddy Leon, and Leon's like, "Don't get away! Don't touch me, man!" Which can you blame him?
No,
it's he's like, "Help me!"
I love you, but if you did that to me, I'd be like, "There's nothing."
He's like, "Help me!" It's I don't think the only way to help you at this point is to put you out of your misery.
Oh my god,
yeah, it's terrible.
Christ.
Terrible. He looks like Quado from Total Recall.
Open your mind.
Quaid. He does. It's probably the same makeup guys if you think about it.
Well, I mean, it's
Verhoeven's dudes. Yeah, if he liked those guys,
we're gonna. You'll hear about it later.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
So then. Lewis is chasing. Yeah, Boddicker gets back in his 6000 SUX, and Lewis is chasing him in the police car, and they sort of both. No, I guess she runs him off into a big ditch full of water or whatever.
But before that happens, so they're rubbing cars.
All right.
And he looks up.
Rubbin's racing.
Rubbin's racing. What is it? Every NASCAR driver in the world
says that's bullshit.
It's like, shut the fuck up.
Rubbin's racing.
So, Days of Thunder. That movie would not count.
Nah, but it's great. Oh, I love it.
Really?
It's like an unofficial sequel to Top Gun, I feel like.
Kidman was beautiful in that movie.
Absolutely.
And Robert Duvall was beautiful in every movie.
Absolutely. Anyway, where were we?
Clarence looks up, and there's Emil. Right?
Oh, shit.
And that's why he wrecks the cars, because he hits him and Emil fucking disintegrates. He explodes, which I always was like, that's exactly what would happen.
Emil just turned to goo.
Yeah. And I love that it's you could see it it looks like when you go to the car wash and you're sitting inside and the stuff's going down your windshield. Yeah. Emil turned into that, but red, blood and guts.
So disgusting.
And so he can't see. Clarence can't see anything, gets run off the road, and that's how he ends up.
Okay. He falls down into a gravel pit or something.
I was all game for getting to the ditch, but I wanted to talk about that body exploding.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
I'm going to try to edit that so we don't.
No, leave it the way it was. That was brilliant.
So he ends up losing control and running down into the water in the ditch.
Right.
Yet he pops out full of composure and just bullseyes Lewis.
Yeah.
Who's up on the edge. He shoots her a bunch of times, actually. He hits her dead center first time, but I think he shoots her maybe 3 times. She falls down into the water herself. And he's like about to take her out. And that's when Robocop makes his grand appearance, walking on water, as it were. The continuation of that Messiah allegory they've been trying to give us.
And here's the face-off with the next to last boss in the video game.
Absolutely.
And Robocop announces loudly and proudly, "I'm not here to make arrests anymore."
Yeah, so he's able to shake his protocols, I guess, now.
We've gone full Murphy.
Nice, which is great.
Yeah, Robocop has the drop on Clarence.
I think Boddicker can see that Leon is getting in that crane or whatever.
He's shimmying over to the crane, which is holding a...
So he's trying to buy time, and he's he's moving himself into a position where Robocop will stand under the crane.
Right. And here, so Leon drops a shit ton of
scrap metal, but I-beams, big steel beams.
Heavy stuff.
That you would think, if anything could kill Robocop, that would do it.
Yeah, you think it would snap the skull right off the cyborg neck of that robot if it hit it right on. Or it would at least crush it.
Absolutely.
Is it that? I mean, I know he's made of titanium, but we've seen that it's not.
No, yeah, he's not indestructible. So it seemed to miss everything important, I guess. So he's just sort of pinned underneath the scrap metal.
But here we go, arch villains everywhere. If you're at home listening, don't stop fighting. Never stop fighting.
Don't celebrate too early.
Don't celebrate too early because everyone is celebrating. And what happens?
Yeah. Lewis has gotten her hands on one of the assault cannons, and she shoots the crane, like pilot's room or whatever, the cockpit.
Adios, Leon.
Blows up Leon in a fireball. It comes down to basically, but Lewis is sort of out of commission, essentially. She can't lift the gun again.
She did a good job just getting that one shot off.
And we got Boddicker walking over to a trapped Robocop. He picks up some sort of sharp piece of metal.
It's like a rebar that's like it's
sharp
been sheared at one end. Yeah, it's been sheared off at one end, so it's spear-like.
So he's going to try to spear his head, and Robocop's parrying those away.
Yeah, thank God.
And then he does run it right through his chest,
which is rough looking.
Yeah, and it seemed like I don't know if Peter Weller, if Robocop is supposed to have felt pain or if he's acting.
Interesting.
Like if he's faking it, but he sells that was tremendously painful to Robocop.
Yeah, he does.
Right? It is kind of like, what would kill Robocop? One of those through the face, maybe?
I think it would have to be something through whatever his central processing unit.
Which I guess you would maybe is in his head or whatever's left of his brain is in his head.
I would assume it would be, is that you would have, it's like a zombie. You have to destroy the brain or cut off the head. Destroy the brain.
But as like Boddicker sort of leaned over him with holding this piece of metal, that's when Robocop produces that data spike or whatever.
This interface needle.
The needle from his thing and just runs it right in his jugular.
He Wolverines him in the jugular. And then we get a tremendous amount of blood.
Blood is spraying everywhere.
As you would. And
a jugular,
And I think that they talk about that too, is that there were issues with the amount of blood that was squirting.
That was another one that the MPAA had him cut down.
Which in the uncut version, it is exactly what it should be, and it's just going everywhere.
There was a moment in a hockey game recently in the last several years where a skate came up and hit a guy in the neck and I think nicked his jugular, and he leaned over and it was like someone poured a bucket of blood on the ice. Just instantly there was luckily they were there immediately, putting pressure on the wound, and the guy ended up being okay. But I think if he had been 30 seconds without attention, he's probably dead.
Do you think that watching these movies, we have somehow been desensitized to violence in some way?
I mean, I have a big problem with violence in the real world and guns in general, but these movies are kind of fun to watch. You get the catharsis without actual damage being done.
Yeah, my answer was no, but
just a flat no. Fair enough.
I still pass out at real blood. So, and then we get an absolutely fantastic exchange between Lewis and Murphy, both of whom are just the worse for wear. Yeah, they're worse for wear. Lewis says, "Murphy, I'm a mess.
I'm a mess." Yeah.
And Murphy replies, "They'll fix you. They fix everything."
Yeah.
Which I just think is awesome.
There's some good writing in this film.
Tongue in cheek, but just really, really he is aware. He's fully aware, but it doesn't matter. They'll put you back together, essentially.
Yeah.
And I think probably a little bitterness behind that as well. It's it doesn't matter if you're going to die.
So then we're back at OCP headquarters where Dick Jones is sort of saying with the failure of the Robocop system, we're ready to put the Ed 209 back into production.
Immediately.
Yeah, he's going to say, he says they can come in, they can fill in for the striking police officers.
Yeah.
He says, we've got one outside guarding the building right now.
Oh, and this is amazing. I'm the biggest fan of all robot voices ever, but ED209 has a special voice.
You love it.
You are illegally parked on private property. You have 20 seconds to move your vehicle. And I know that I can't do it because I'm not a robot, but fuck you.
And so Robocop's just yeah, whatever, dude.
Okay.
Takes out an assault cannon from the car and blows him up.
Thank you for your contribution.
I feel like he had to shoot him several times to get the job done.
Oh, yeah. But I love the bit with the disembodied legs.
The legs are still walking. There was a little tiny gear spinning or whatever. Yeah, it's
disembodied leg. But I also
did he fall over? The toe was twitching
eventually. Yeah, but I also love RoboCop's smirk. He's smiling.
He did. He gave the slightest smile.
He's into it.
You're seeing like there's a human here again, right? RoboCop, he burst into that board meeting,
and then it's the big bad fight.
They're like, "Oh snap, what's going on?" He's like, "I'm here to arrest Dick Jones."
Final round.
He says, "I'm here to arrest Dick Jones. He's an accomplice to murder."
That's right.
Basically, and the old man is like, "Well, these are serious accusations. Do you have some evidence of this?" And that's when he plugs his bloody data spike into the board in the room and plays back his recording of Dick Jones saying famously, "I had to kill Bob Morton because he made a mistake." Like he just plays it on loop over and over again, and the mood in the room turns on Dick Jones pretty quick.
Anybody could have done that. Yeah. Anybody could have said that. That's doctored footage. As this shit's going on with Jones confessing to the Morton murder on loop, you get this glimpse of Johnson sitting at the table. No, just smiling. Yeah,
no, is he smiling? Yes. I thought he looked really like
Johnson,
angry.
Ever the optimist, he got that shit eating grin.
Oh, he's like, it's going to be another promotion for me.
See, he has risen in the ranks, and he did nothing.
He did nothing. He just sat back and let everyone else die.
He said yes, sir, to several people, and the real winner of this movie, I think, is Johnson.
Jones can see like, oh, the room's turned on me here. He grabs the old man hostage, takes that big pistol from the earlier scene with Kenny. He holds it to the old man's head. He's like, I want a helicopter. It's going to fly me out of here.
I like that they never removed the pistol. Like, were they going to do another demonstration? We're going to do a repeat demonstration.
I got the impression that it was always in the room, like that maybe it was decor, but it wouldn't be loaded.
Maybe that's like an OCP. Yeah, again, is it an OCP?
Maybe it's an OCP model gun.
An OCP prototype of something that a modern...
I think it was really like a Desert Eagle, whatever, like this big bulky handgun, but yeah.
That was supposed to be what Robocop's gun was, right?
I think that was the initial idea for Robocop's gun, and they thought it wasn't big enough. Which is like the biggest gun you've ever seen a man, the biggest handgun you've ever seen a man hold.
It's definitely not big enough. Definitely not.
But old man ever thinking is like, Dick, you're fired.
Which is amazing.
Then the Directive 4 disappears from RoboCop's screen, and he's like, "Thank you," blows him away.
He's always very polite. I appreciate that.
Doesn't he? He shoots him right out the window, right?
Oh, yeah, and that's an iconic moment that's been in Die Hard. It's been in Final Fight, like the video game Final Fight of a bad guy getting knocked out a window.
It's just not enough to shoot him. Like you got to have him also fall to his death.
Yeah, add insult to injury. There needs to be a body splattered on some pavement somewhere.
Of course, man. Of course. And Johnson is like stoked.
Oh yeah.
After this, he's got like the big grin. He's like, "Fucking A, I just moved up another rung."
I think he's like senior VP now, right?
He's got to be. He's probably number 2 now.
Yeah.
And in what's got to be the most economical ending to a movie ever.
Totally.
Like old man calls to RoboCop as he's sort of walking out. He's like, "What's your name, young man? Or what's your name, officer?" And he's like, "Murphy." And cut to black, RoboCop credits roll. Perfect.
It is perfect.
Yes.
It is. Verhoeven was a master in this movie. What a great maiden voyage into the mainstream American cinema. Like
he absolutely nailed it. Yeah.
He was like, if you needed to come out and make a huge first impression, then I don't think you could have done better. But he'd been killing it in Europe for years.
But I mean, it was like a super fresh perspective that he had. Like he somehow can have that like brutal violence with also a sense of humor that is very hard to do well.
If you've never watched other of his movies like Total Recall and Starship Troopers, they're worth checking out. We encourage that.
Especially Starship Troopers is like maybe overlooked.
Yeah, Starship Troopers is really, really good and really, really enjoyable. Mm-hmm. I think that it gave a whole new take on like super science fiction, like space travel and aliens and stuff like that. A whole new like view of the way that the world would view an alien attack. You know, like everybody's got to band together and running the propaganda machine. But yeah, fresh perspective. Is
absolutely.
Right on.
And Verhoeven, he moved straight from this into another action classic, Total Recall, just a few years later. Maybe one of the more expensive movies ever made, probably when it came out. And we will be talking about that very soon.
Most of that was in the budget to pay Arnold.
Yeah, probably
or
so.
And Sharon Stone.
But yeah, that was such a good movie.
Oh, yeah.
Verhoeven, man, he's the man. He's good at what he does.
Verhoeven, he my man. You feel good. You good.
Dude, we tackled another film. I feel good about this.
Absolutely. I hope you all feel good about that. I hope you all enjoyed RoboCop. I hope you maybe learned something or dug our perspective on it. We're stupid. We know it, but we have a lot of fun. We hope that you do too.
We love the movies. If you love the movies too, then I think we're all having a good time.
That's right. Hopefully you're as buzzed as we are and you're enjoying a drink, and we salute you now.
Check us out on the social media or whatever else you do.
Stay tuned for next time.
Yeah, we'll be back with something else really good really soon.